Seniors who walk like this almost never fall. 6 simple tricks. The crucial subject of maintaining safety and unwavering confidence in our gait as we navigate the later stages of life stands as a cornerstone of independent living, profoundly impacting overall well-being and the capacity to engage fully with the world. For countless individuals past the age of 60, a singular, unforeseen stumble possesses the potential to fundamentally alter their existence, extending far beyond the immediate discomfort of a mere bruise. Such an incident can precipitate weeks, even months, of arduous physical and emotional recovery, and in more severe instances, erode a precious measure of personal autonomy and the ability to live independently. Yet, within this concern lies an immensely reassuring truth. A substantial proportion of these potentially life-altering falls are, in fact, entirely preventable through the adoption of subtle, yet remarkably impactful, modifications to one's walking patterns. This discourse aims to illuminate a series of 7 pragmatic walking habits, meticulously endorsed by a broad spectrum of physical therapists and esteemed experts in the field of gerontology, specifically tailored to empower seniors with enhanced stability and security. What makes these recommended practices particularly compelling is their inherent accessibility. They demand neither the investment in specialized footwear nor costly equipment, nor do they necessitate venturing outside the familiar confines of one's dwelling. Instead, they represent modest, actionable adjustments that can be seamlessly integrated into daily routines, beginning immediately, irrespective of your current location or current physical condition. These insights are shared with the hopeful anticipation that they will serve as invaluable tools, fostering greater stability and a renewed sense of security in every step, encouraging a more active and fearless approach to daily movement. Our exploration commences with an aspect of ambulation that typically eludes conscious thought, residing largely in the realm of subconscious action, the precise positioning of the head as one walks. This element, deceptively simple in its nature, holds a significance that is often vastly underestimated. Metaphorically speaking, the head functions as the primary navigational instrument, the very steering wheel that dictates the trajectory and alignment of your entire physical being. Its orientation invariably dictates the alignment and subsequent movement of the shoulders, the back, and the hips, influencing the entire kinetic chain, a habitual tendency to direct one's gaze perpetually downwards towards the ground, inevitably initiates a gradual, often imperceptible, collapse of one's posture, drawing the body progressively forward. Over extended periods, this subtle postural deviation repositions the body's weight detrimentally, shifting the center of balance further ahead, and consequently imbuing each step with a palpable sense of instability and precariousness, making every stride feel less secure. It is entirely understandable why a multitude of older adults gravitate towards this head-down walking style. The immediate instinct is to meticulously observe the path directly beneath one's feet, to preemptively avoid missed steps, tripping hazards like loose rugs or uneven floorboards, or treacherous slips on slick pavements. At a superficial level, this approach conveys an impression of heightened safety, as if surveying the immediate ground offers a protective advantage. However, the paradoxically intricate reality is that this constant downward focus demonstrably escalates the very risk of falling it seeks to circumvent. When the head is consistently lowered, the shoulders begin to round, the spine develops an exaggerated curve, and the entire torso leans acutely forward. This compromised posture inexorably pulls the body's center of gravity significantly in front of the feet, thereby rendering one considerably more susceptible to stumbling. Furthermore, when the eyes are firmly fixed on the immediate ground, one's peripheral vision is severely curtailed, preventing the timely detection of potential hazards situated 10 or even 15 feet ahead in the path of travel. This diminished foresight explains how an innocuous crack in the sidewalk, A subtly elevated step or an unexpected obstacle can suddenly present an unexpected and dangerous impediment, catching one off guard. A more judicious and safer approach, frequently advocated by physical therapists, is encapsulated in what is known as the 20-80 rule. This principle suggests that for approximately 80% of the walking duration, the head and eyes should maintain a direct, forward-facing orientation, allowing for a broader awareness of the environment. The remaining 20% of the time allows for brief, focused downward glances, executed solely with the eyes rather than involving the entire head, which helps maintain spinal alignment. This methodology ensures a continuous awareness of immediate stepping surfaces without compromising the integrity of one's overall posture, which is crucial for dynamic balance. The objective is to maintain a gaze that extends a comfortable 10 to 15 feet in front, whether traversing the expanse of one's living room, navigating a garden path, or proceeding along a busy grocery store aisle, adapting to varying environments. Initially, adopting this elevated gaze might evoke a sensation of unfamiliarity or mild discomfort, largely because the habit of looking down has become so deeply ingrained over years of unconscious practice. Nevertheless, with persistent and deliberate practice, a noticeable transformation will occur. You will observe that maintaining an upright head posture contributes significantly to a straighter body alignment, enhances the equilibrium of each step, and notably bolsters one's overall confidence in movement, creating a more stable and assured gait. This seemingly minor alteration lays a foundational stone for improved balance and a more secure walking experience, empowering a feeling of control. Beyond the crucial aspect of head position, our attention now turns to another often neglected component of efficient and balanced locomotion, the rhythmic movement of our arms. While most individuals instinctively associate walking primarily with the propulsion generated by the legs, the truth reveals a much broader physiological collaboration, wherein the arms assume a vital role as natural, dynamic stabilizers, acting as counterweights. The human body is inherently designed with an intricate cross-patterned coordination. As the right leg propels forward, the left arm naturally counterswings in the same direction, a symmetrical action mirrored on the opposing side, creating a harmonious, energy-efficient movement. This innate, built-in rhythm is etched into our motor memory from the nascent stages of childhood, a foundational pattern that has for decades silently contributed to maintaining equilibrium without any conscious acknowledgement or effort. However, as the natural process of aging unfolds, this instinctive arm swing frequently diminishes, often to the point of near absence, leading to a stiffened gait. Various factors contribute to this phenomenon. Conditions such as arthritis or general stiffness within the shoulder joints can physically impede the free, uninhibited movement of the arms, making swinging uncomfortable. Concurrently, learned habits can obstruct this natural rhythm, such as the constant carrying of a handbag or satchel, the reliance on a cane that occupies a hand, or even the seemingly innocuous act of keeping hands perpetually tucked into pockets, all of which restrict natural motion. For a significant number of older adults, the pervasive emotion of fear plays a particularly pronounced role. When anxiety about falling takes hold, the body's instinctive response is to tense up, to brace itself, almost as if in anticipation of an imminent mishap. This involuntary muscular rigidity, unfortunately, arrests the natural fluid motion of the arms, effectively disarming one of the body's most sophisticated and built-in mechanisms for maintaining stability. The paradoxical outcome is that this very act of self-protection, bracing, inadvertently escalates the risk it aims to mitigate, creating a vicious cycle of fear and instability. The encouraging news, however, is that restoring this essential arm swing demands remarkably little arduous effort. It primarily requires a simple resurgence of awareness and a conscious commitment to reintegrating it into one's walking pattern. As you engage in the act of walking, cultivate a deliberate softness in your elbows, avoiding any tendency to lock or stiffen them, allowing for natural flexion and extension. Allow your arms to oscillate gently and naturally at your sides, even if the initial movements are slight and understated. Any movement is better than none. The objective is not to emulate the vigorous, expansive swings characteristic of power walking or competitive sports. Rather, gentle, relaxed, and fluid oscillations are perfectly sufficient for balance. Should one arm exhibit a degree of weakness or stiffness compared to the other, this discrepancy is entirely acceptable. Even the mindful swinging of a single arm confers a substantial benefit over the detrimental practice of keeping both arms rigidly immobile. Some individuals find it particularly beneficial to rehearse this movement in a stationary position before embarking on a walk. This can be achieved by standing securely near a robust counter or table, then gently marching in place, consciously permitting the arms to move sympathetically with each step. To further refine the rhythm, one can even count the steps, assessing whether the motion feels balanced and synchronized on both sides of the body, creating a mental rhythm. Over time, the consistent application of this seemingly minor habit yields a profound impact. Your gait will acquire a discernible smoothness, your balance will feel significantly more secure, and the overall tension within your body will markedly diminish, contributing to a more relaxed and resilient physical presence, fostering greater enjoyment in movement. Our focus now descends to the very interface between our bodies and the ground, the feet. The manner in which your foot makes contact with the walking surface profoundly influences both balance and overall safety. It is a subtle but critical determinant of stability. Over the span of many years, a considerable number of older adults inadvertently and often unconsciously modify their inherent walking technique. Instead of executing the natural, fluid progression through each step, commencing with the heel, rolling through the midfoot, and culminating with the push-off from the toes, they frequently adopt a more truncated gait, either planting the entire foot flatly onto the ground or, less commonly, initiating contact with their toes, resulting in a shuffling motion. While this altered method might, in the immediate moment, convey a false sense of ease or heightened security by keeping more of the foot on the ground, its long-term consequence is an undeniable escalation in the propensity for stumbling and falling. To fully appreciate this, it is essential to revisit the biomechanics of proper walking. The ideal stride initiates with the gentle, deliberate contact of the heel upon the ground, distributing initial impact effectively. Subsequently, the body's weight is designed to roll smoothly, gracefully across the arch of the foot, culminating in a powerful yet controlled push-off from the toes, which propels the body forward into the subsequent step with momentum. This meticulously choreographed sequence, heel contact, subsequent roll across the foot, and final toe push-off, functions as an inherent, sophisticated shock absorption system. It serves to cushion the impact on vital joints, such as the knees and hips, maintains the optimal alignment of the entire musculoskeletal structure, and ensures that each stride remains consistently smooth, steady, and biomechanically efficient, reducing strain. When this natural, integrated pattern is bypassed, and individuals resort to shuffling their feet or adopting a flat-footed gait, several detrimental outcomes ensue. The length of the stride is significantly curtailed, limiting forward momentum. The musculature of the lower limbs becomes markedly less engaged and active, leading to muscle atrophy, and the individual's susceptibility to tripping over common household hazards such as rugs, raised door thresholds, or irregularities in outdoor terrain dramatically increases. The insidious aspect of this alteration is its often unnoticed progression. For many, it simply becomes a second nature, an unconscious adaptation that they are unaware of. However, the encouraging news is that this deeply ingrained habit can be consciously unlearned and replaced with the body's original, more efficacious heel-to-toe motion through targeted retraining and mindful practice. A straightforward and effective method involves practicing a slow, deliberate walk across a secure, unobstructed area within your home. As each step is taken, a conscious effort should be directed towards ensuring that the heel makes initial contact with the floor, allowing the remainder of the foot to then gracefully roll forward. The emphasis here is on natural flow, not on exaggerating the movement to an unnatural degree. Simply permit the inherent rhythm to re-emerge. Many individuals discover an enhanced sensory feedback when practicing this technique barefoot on a softer surface, such as a carpet, as it heightens tactile sensation. This allows the intricate network of nerves in the feet to more acutely perceive and interpret the subtle nuances of the heel-to-toe roll, fostering a deeper proprioceptive connection and body awareness. Initially, this conscious re-engagement with natural gait mechanics may feel somewhat clumsy or unfamiliar, particularly if the shuffling habit has been entrenched for a considerable period. This initial awkwardness is perfectly normal and should not be a deterrent. The body possesses a remarkable inherent memory for these fundamental movements. It merely requires a gentle, consistent reminder to reactivate that latent knowledge. Even a few minutes of mindful practice each day can catalyze a significant transformation, rendering your steps demonstrably stronger, more fluid, and immeasurably safer, thereby restoring a vital component of confident and secure ambulation. Proceeding from the mechanics of foot placement, our attention now shifts to another crucial yet often underestimated parameter in walking safety: the dimensions of your stride. It is a widely unacknowledged fact that the length of one's steps exerts a direct and profound influence on maintaining overall balance, acting as a crucial element in dynamic stability. During the vigor of youth, expansive, longer strides felt not only natural but also inherently efficient, allowing for quicker traversal of distances and greater energy conservation. However, as the aging process unfolds, these formerly advantageous long steps can subtly yet effectively begin to work against us, introducing elements of instability and increasing fall risk. The underlying biomechanical reason for this lies in the displacement of the body's center of gravity. When the leading foot extends excessively far ahead of the main body mass, the center of gravity shifts disproportionately backward relative to the supporting base. This seemingly minor relocation of weight places undue stress and strain on critical joints such as the hips and knees, simultaneously diminishing one's capacity for immediate control should an unforeseen event occur. Perhaps an unexpectedly slippery patch of flooring, or a sudden, momentary loss of equilibrium. Conversely, the conscious adoption of smaller, more measured steps proves to be a highly effective strategy for maintaining the body's weight in a perpetually centered and stable position. This shorter stride length ensures that the feet remain predominantly underneath the body, aligning them with the core where one's strength and stability are most naturally concentrated, creating a solid platform. With the implementation of shorter strides, a significant improvement in reaction time is observed, meaning that if a trip or slip does occur, the individual is far better equipped to swiftly regain composure and prevent a fall by quickly re-establishing balance. Furthermore, the practice of taking smaller steps organically encourages the proper lifting of the feet from the ground, thereby substantially mitigating the risk of inadvertently dragging toes on carpets, catching them on uneven sidewalk cracks, or encountering other common tripping hazards. For those who utilize assistive devices such as canes or walkers, the adoption of smaller steps is particularly beneficial, facilitating a much smoother and more controlled movement, preventing the tendency to pull oneself off balance or to overextend the device, which can compromise its effectiveness. The most appealing aspect of this particular adjustment is its inherent simplicity in practice. A valuable exercise involves walking across a familiar room at your customary pace and mentally counting the number of steps taken within a 10-second interval. Subsequently, repeat the same exercise, consciously aiming for slightly smaller, quicker steps. balance. A noticeable increase in the recorded step count indicates successful adoption of shorter strides, signifying that your body weight is being kept more effectively centered and stable. Initially, this altered gait might feel somewhat peculiar, perhaps even evoking a sense of taking baby steps, but it is crucial to understand that the body possesses an extraordinary capacity for adaptation and will swiftly adjust to this new, safer rhythm. Another practical recommendation involves practicing this technique within familiar and inherently safe environments, such as a hallway or kitchen within your home, where potential hazards are minimal. The focus should be on ensuring each step is light, centered, and consistently steady. Over time, this deliberate practice will establish itself as your new normal, and you will invariably discover that walking feels demonstrably smoother, more controlled, and imbued with a greater sense of security. It is imperative to underscore that the objective here is not to increase walking speed or to cover more ground with haste. Such pursuits can often compromise safety. Rather, the fundamental goal is the optimization of safety and the enhancement of inherent stability, prioritizing well-being above all else. While the common perception of balance often conjures images of robust legs and steadfast feet, the fundamental truth is that true bodily equilibrium emanates from the very epicenter of one's physical structure, the core. This intricate network of muscles, encompassing the abdominal region, the lower back, and the hips, serves as the foundational bedrock, akin to the structural foundation upon which a house is built. Should this foundational strength be compromised or weakened, the entire superstructure above it, namely the rest of the body, inevitably experiences a pervasive sense of instability and shakiness. You might observe yourself unconsciously leaning on adjacent furniture for support, experiencing a discernible wobbliness when transitioning to a standing position, or encountering premature fatigue after only a short duration of walking. These manifestations are not solely attributable to the legs. Frequently, they are symptomatic of the core musculature subtly but persistently losing its inherent strength over time, a natural consequence of reduced activity or age. The immensely encouraging aspect of this situation is that the path to cultivating a more resilient core does not necessitate expensive gym memberships or the acquisition of cumbersome, heavy exercise equipment. In fact, a consistent regimen of small, easily executable movements, performed regularly, possesses the remarkable capacity to instigate a monumental difference in one's overall stability and functional strength. To illustrate this profound impact, consider the real-life example of Mary, an 82-year-old grandmother who began experiencing increasingly frequent falls within the sanctuary of her own home. Her daughter, understandably concerned by this escalating risk, sought the professional guidance of a physical therapist. To their surprise, the therapist elucidated that the root cause of Mary's difficulties was not, as initially assumed, a deficiency in her leg strength. Instead, it was her weakened core that lay at the heart of the problem, affecting her overall balance. The therapist prescribed merely two exceedingly simple exercises. First, while standing securely near a sturdy chair, Mary was instructed to gently lift one foot approximately an inch off the floor, maintaining this elevated position for 5 seconds, before alternating to the other foot, building single-leg stability. Second, during her routine of brushing her teeth, she was advised to gently draw her navel inward towards her spine, just sufficiently to perceive a subtle tightening sensation in her abdominal muscles, engaging her transverse abdominis. These were the sole instructions, demonstrating the power of minimal, targeted effort. Within a mere few weeks, Mary reported a transformative change, experiencing a palpable increase in her steadiness, akin to her body finally regaining its intrinsic capacity to support her. You are encouraged to adopt similar, highly effective practices. When positioned near a sturdy counter or table, consciously lift one foot slightly from the ground, holding it for a few seconds, then smoothly transition to the other side, repeating this a few times. Alternatively, as you move through your daily activities, periodically engage your core by gently drawing your belly button inwards towards your spine for short durations, holding for a few seconds at a time. The beauty of these exercises is their discrete nature. No one around you will even perceive that you are performing them, yet your core muscles will unequivocally register the beneficial exertion and begin to strengthen. These seemingly minor, consistent efforts accumulate to construct an invisible yet immensely powerful inner strength, which manifests outwardly in an improved posture, in the palpable steadiness of each step, and fundamentally in an elevated sense of confidence as you navigate the familiar landscape of your home. Building a strong core is not merely about physical capability. It is about reclaiming a sense of robust self-assurance in movement and everyday activities. Moving beyond intrinsic physical adjustments, our next critical area of focus pertains to the external environment, specifically the subtleties of the floor beneath our feet. One of the most insidious and often overlooked catalysts for falls is not the presence of overt clutter or substantial physical obstacles, but rather the seemingly innocuous, minor changes in the texture, elevation, or visual properties of the walking surface itself. A seemingly harmless area rug, a patch of gleaming, highly polished tile, the slight elevation of a doorway threshold, or even a deceptively shadowy step can each, individually or in combination, disrupt one's equilibrium if adequate preparation and awareness are lacking. As individuals advance in age, it is a normal physiological occurrence for both depth perception and reaction time to experience a slight yet measurable deceleration. This natural attenuation implies that the brain may require a fraction of a second longer to accurately register and process a change in the underfoot surface. Within this minute, critical delay, one's carefully maintained balance can falter, leading to a precarious moment of instability and potential fall. Consider the illustrative narrative of Alan, a 78-year-old gentleman who consistently regarded himself as both meticulous and steady in his movements. One particular afternoon, he narrowly averted a significant fall in his own kitchen. The floor had been recently cleaned and presented an outwardly unremarkable appearance, yet it concealed a treacherous slipperiness. Alan recounted that the incident caught him entirely off guard. His feet had already initiated movement across the slick surface before his brain had fully processed the altered tactile information, leading to a momentary loss of control. This alarming near miss prompted Alan to adopt a new, highly effective habit. Every time he transitioned from one room to another, he would quietly, either mentally or softly audibly, articulate the nature of the flooring he was about to encounter: tile, carpet, wood. While this practice might have initially struck him as somewhat whimsical or even absurd, he firmly attested that it provided his body with precisely the crucial warning required to preemptively adjust his gait and foot placement. Since integrating this habit, he has reported no further close calls, highlighting the power of conscious awareness. This proactive strategy is readily adoptable by anyone. As you move from one distinct space to another, consciously label the surface, either within your thoughts or by uttering it softly under your breath. Step down, rug, tile. This seemingly trivial verbal or mental reminder fosters a crucial collaboration between your brain and body, effectively preparing your neuromuscular system for the impending change, allowing for proactive adjustments. Furthermore, it is prudent to exercise heightened caution on floors that possess a highly reflective or glossy finish. While they may convey an impression of pristine cleanliness, the inherent reflections and glare can distort visual cues, making accurate depth judgment considerably more challenging and potentially masking hazards. For individuals who wear bifocal or progressive lenses, particular circumspection is warranted when navigating curbs or staircases, as the optical transition between lens prescriptions can momentarily distort one's perception of the ground immediately beneath, requiring extra care. Another remarkably simple yet effective stratagem is to institute a brief, momentary pause, perhaps just one additional second, when transitioning from a brightly illuminated area into a dimly lit hallway, or when stepping from direct sunlight into a shaded zone. This judicious pause allows the eyes sufficient time to physiologically adapt to the altered light conditions before forward motion is resumed, preventing disorienting visual changes. This practice, though seemingly insignificant, can often constitute the pivotal difference between a confident, steady step and a potentially injurious stumble. By cultivating a heightened awareness of the immediate ground plane and granting your brain those vital moments to process environmental shifts, you actively fortify your defenses against preventable risks, thereby safeguarding your mobility and well-being in all environments. The final pillar in our framework for fostering safe and confident walking addresses the judicious application of external support. It is a common observation that many older adults, either consciously or unconsciously, come to rely upon readily available environmental elements, the solidity of walls, the stability of furniture, or even, in an almost reflex action, holding their breath as impromptu aids when navigating their homes, rather than building intrinsic strength. Conversely, another segment of the senior population exhibits a strong reluctance to utilize assistive devices such as canes or walkers, driven by a perception that these tools signify weakness or an undesirable loss of autonomy and independence. However, it is paramount to understand a fundamental and liberating truth. The strategic and intelligent deployment of support mechanisms can, in fact, serve to vigorously protect and even extend one's independence rather than diminish it. Envision external support not as a crutch indicative of failing capabilities, but rather as a robust safety net, a reliable scaffold designed not to supplant your inherent ability to walk, but to instill the necessary confidence to maintain active movement without the paralyzing fear of falling. The fundamental principle here is balance, to avoid an excessive over-reliance on support, while simultaneously refraining from neglecting its potential benefits when circumstances genuinely warrant its assistance. For instance, should you experience a fleeting sensation of unsteadiness when the moment arrives to rise from your bed, consider strategically placing a sturdy chair nearby. It can then be utilized as a reliable point of balance as you transition to a standing posture, providing temporary security. Within hallways, it is advisable to maintain consistently clear and unobstructed pathways, thus eliminating the impulsive need to grasp at random pieces of furniture for stability, which can itself be a hazard. Furthermore, when venturing into outdoor environments, the intelligent use of a cane or walker can frequently represent the critical demarcation between remaining actively engaged with the world outside and being confined to the home out of apprehension. The crucial element, however, resides in mastering the correct and ergonomic utilization of these support tools. A cane, for optimal effectiveness, should invariably be held on the side opposite to the weaker leg, thereby facilitating a natural and counterbalanced enhancement of your stride. A walker, in its proper application, should advance in synchronization with small controlled steps, rather than being pushed aggressively too far ahead, which can paradoxically induce instability and poor posture. If there remains any uncertainty regarding the appropriate usage of such devices, the invaluable expertise of a physical therapist can be sought. Often, just 1 or 2 dedicated sessions are sufficient to impart the correct techniques and ensure proper fitting, making a significant difference. It is vital to reiterate, assistive devices of this nature do not, by their very design, diminish your innate strength. On the contrary, they serve as powerful enablers, granting you a renewed sense of freedom. They actively empower you to continue walking with robust confidence, liberating you from the restrictive avoidance of movement that can so often be engendered by fear. Even within the familiar confines of the home, the strategic presence of readily accessible support, such as securely installed grab bars in the bathroom or non-slip mats positioned near the kitchen sink, can significantly contribute to an overarching sense of security and peace of mind. Such thoughtful provisions are not luxuries, but fundamental components of a proactively safe living environment, promoting sustained independence. Having meticulously explored these 7 foundational habits, it becomes evident how profoundly they can collectively transform the very experience of navigating one's daily life, shifting the paradigm from apprehension to assurance. Each individual habit, when viewed in isolation, might appear to be a minor adjustment, yet their synergistic integration culminates in a profoundly potent shift, dramatically enhancing personal safety, refining intrinsic balance, and significantly bolstering overall confidence. We commenced by discerning how the seemingly simple alignment of head position serves as the primary arbiter for the orientation of the entire body, guiding movement with intention. Subsequently, we delved into the indispensable role of arm swing, recognizing its function as a natural, dynamic stabilizer essential for harmonious and fluid movement. Our journey then led us to appreciate the pivotal importance of a proper heel-to-toe walking pattern, understanding its contribution to smooth gait and shock absorption, followed by an examination of how adopting smaller, more controlled steps empowers greater command over one's locomotion and maintains a centered balance. The discourse further revealed the often underestimated power of core strength, unveiling its hidden capacity as the true epicenter of steadiness, and underscored the critical necessity of cultivating floor awareness to remain vigilant against subtle environmental transitions and hazards. Finally, we concluded with a vital discussion on the sagacious utilization of external support, reframing it not as an admission of debility, but rather as an intelligent, empowering tool designed to safeguard and prolong personal independence and freedom of movement. The overarching characteristic unifying these 7 transformative habits is their inherent accessibility and practicality. They impose no financial burden, requiring no monetary expenditure. They do not demand extensive, time-consuming hours of rigorous training, nor do they compel you to fundamentally alter your identity or personality. Instead, they represent a collection of straightforward, actionable adjustments that can be seamlessly incorporated into your routine, commencing today precisely wherever you happen to be. Every conscious decision to lift your head with purpose, to allow your arms to swing naturally, or to take a single mindful step transmits an exceptionally powerful and affirmative message to yourself. I remain the master of my own movement, and my journey of walking forward is far from complete. This comprehensive approach aims not only to prevent falls, but to foster a renewed sense of agency and joy in every step taken, empowering you to live more fully and actively. Now, I eagerly anticipate hearing your reflections. Which of these 7 distinct habits resonated most deeply with you? Which particular habit do you envision integrating into your routine during the forthcoming week? Please share your invaluable insights and experiences in the comments section below, as your personal narrative and advice possess the potent capacity to inspire and lend courage to countless others who may be facing similar challenges. Should you have found the guidance provided herein to be beneficial and illuminating, we kindly encourage you to express your appreciation through a like. Consider subscribing for future empowering content, and, crucially, to disseminate this information to a friend, a cherished family member, or anyone within your acquaintance who might stand to gain from such vital knowledge. One can never fully ascertain who might be in dire need of a timely reminder that a safer, steadier, and more confident walking experience is not merely an aspiration, but an entirely achievable reality for all. We extend our sincerest gratitude for dedicating your valuable time to engage with these profound insights. Always remember, your finest and most assured steps are not confined to the annals of the past. They lie vibrantly ahead, waiting to be taken with renewed purpose and confidence.